Good day, everybody. Welcome to our weekly demo session. Today I'm going to show you the basics around how to utilize Bitbar and give you a quick overview. I'm going to move pretty quick, and hopefully you'll get a good sense of what we can do for your mobile testing. So first off, I'd like to say that Bitbar Testing supports all of the various open frameworks available to application developers and QA personnel. So we support the most popular frameworks such as Appium, or a lot of folks are moving towards things provided by Xcode, such as XUI tests, and then there's a good number of of folks that are using Espresso for their Android instrumentation tests. Note that we can also support other frameworks as well, including proprietary ones. And we're happy to get you started with whatever automated testing frameworks that you're currently using. Here's an example of two ways to execute your Appium tests on the Bitbar Cloud. Effectively, the top image here is showing a client-side execution approach, or what we term as a client-side execution, right? In this case, you are running your scripts off of a local host machine or maybe a CI server, and your framework is communicating with an Appium server that is connected to a real device. We have an Appium broker in the middle to handle session logic. If there is, for example, a situation of a device being busy, the broker will send back a response, or it will move the session on to the next available device. What really differentiates the Bitbar testing cloud is the ability to offload the execution burden to our cloud and our servers, such that our server-side execution essentially uses VM and containerization technology to spin up an image of the framework on the actual device server itself. The devices are connected to the device servers via USB cable, and with this approach, you can actually spin up an unlimited number of concurrent test sessions against n number of devices. This provides a couple of values. Obviously, if you're able to do more concurrent testing, it reduces your test cycle times and gets broader test coverage. But then also, when in talking about Appium, it actually can be a significant performance improvement compared to the client-side execution approach, which the framework is having to communicate over the internet with the device. With server-side, the framework is actually communicating with the device locally over USB. All right. We have a few different deployment options for the Bitbar testing technology. So one is our public cloud option. This gives users the ability to gain immediate access to hundreds of unique models and OS versions to be able to test across a broad array of devices. The options also to use our dedicated or private cloud or on-premise setups are also in place, and this gives you a lot of customization. You can set up things like VPNs or proxies, maybe like Charles proxy or other types of technologies in the environment. The dedicated options also are ideal for CI testing, where you have high volumes of daily testing going on. You don't have to worry about hourly charges that would otherwise be incurred in our public environment. And quick note, we do have the option to provide you dedicated devices in the public cloud, so in the multi-tenant environment, so that you can kind of get the best of both worlds, both broad access to a large array of devices and then also dedicated devices maybe for your CI testing. All right. A couple of quick differentiators. I know there's more than a couple here. Scalability is definitely at the heart of what we do. We want to help you tackle the fragmentation problem and provide capacity with hundreds of devices ready to test. We want you to be able to run tests in parallel and achieve concurrency levels that you haven't been able to achieve yet. And the flexibility that we provide around frameworks, deployment options, and customization in the environment, a lot of folks appreciate. Everybody can use open standards in everything that they do. There's no proprietary hooks involved in using your tests that you've written locally against the cloud. We're just going to help you go ahead and scale those things that you've created natively. Ultimately, we want to provide a mobile DevOps toolchain where you can use all the technologies that are otherwise fragmented in the approach for your build, your test, your deploy, and your monitoring scenarios, right? Virtualization is the key to everything that we do. We're basically using this to be able to support any framework and manage all the various configurations that are involved in setting up and running a test environment. Our integrations with our API and some of the canned plugins that we have make it really easy to extend or use our platform in ways that are highly automated end-to-end. And ultimately, we want to get you the most efficient use of resources, and we want to provide the fastest test infrastructure performance. All right. So with that being said, let's get into talking about how you actually use the platform. Here you should be able to see my web browser in which I am connected to our cloud. First thing, when you come into the environment, you're going to notice that you have your projects tab, and this is essentially where you're going to set up your test projects. Okay. Now I can basically name a project and then specify the type of framework that I'm using for this project. And once that's done, then the system knows how to work with your framework. Now let's take a look about how you start a test. So let's go ahead and maybe look at this Android project here. And from here, notice that I've had a prior test run. It gives you some quick information on the test runs for that project. I can dig in to starting a test run by hitting that plus icon. And from here, the system is going to ask for an application to test with. So this is, in this case, is an Android project. You're going to upload your APK. Next, you'll pick your test type. In this case, this is defaulted for an app crawler test, and I'll talk a little bit further about that later. But you can also upload your Android instrumentation tests in this regard. This is for example, Espresso that uses a test instrumentation APK to drive the test on the device. Each framework is a little bit different, so we have instructions on how to get your framework working in the cloud. If you go to docs.bitbar.com, notice that we have all of the main frameworks and information on how to get started here within the portal. Okay. So after I have my framework ready and I upload it for testing, the next step is to select the devices that you want to use for your tests. And this goes to the concept of creating device groups. Device groups are a way for you to put together a larger testing matrix to cover the various test scenarios that you would like. Maybe you would create a smoke test group, a regression suite group, or maybe a broad compatibility test group, things like that. To create the group, I can easily search for particular devices. I can search by OS version or API level, things like that. Excuse me. Once I've identified the devices that I want to work with within this group, I can simply check mark them, or I can drag and drop them into a new group or the existing groups. Okay, so that's the concept of creating a device group. And once you have device groups created, that's where you'll notice that you can pick from those device groups here under the Select Devices step, okay, within creating a test run. Next step is to put in some advanced options. You don't necessarily have to do anything here to start, but a lot of folks that use this on a daily basis appreciate some of the finer levels of detail here that can be accomplished. You can customize your test run name. You can actually specify the default language on the device so that your test run this is great for localization tests. You can provide reports with screenshots to your localization team. There's a concept of a test timeout. This essentially will not allow the test to run any longer than a certain amount of time. And you can actually, this is a parameter that can actually be changed via API, or if you want to talk to your Bitbar representative, they can help you adjust this if needed. By default, everything's going to run simultaneously, but you can select to do otherwise if you have certain scenarios that make sense to maybe go sequentially. In this case, this is an Android project, and we're thinking that you might want to do some instrumentation tests. Here you can pick from particular packages or classes, pick particular test cases to run. You can do stuff after the test goes with this test finish hook, and there's different test runners that you can use so that you have a lot of flexibility there. And then with this key value pair argument stuff, this is great for doing things such as test case sharding or maybe you want to run a particular test profile that's tagged in a certain way. You can make an argument here as though you were working on a command line level. All right. After I have everything configured from a test run standpoint, I'm going to hit start, and the system's going to go out and do the test in the most efficient way. All right. Now let's take a look at what the results look like. So I'm going to go to this test run number 1 on this Android app crawler test, and notice that I'm going to see all the devices that were included within this test run. I'm going to get some basic information around how many test cases passed or failed, how long the tests took to execute, and I'm also getting some info on what build was used, what time it was executed, things like that. I get some more, a good high-level view of how things look by clicking on this comparison by steps. And from here, I can see all the devices and their screenshots side by side, and you can actually change the devices that you're viewing at any one time here. Right? Now, let's say I wanted to look into a particular device. From here, I can go ahead and click on one of those devices, and I'm going to be given all the information that basically a developer would need to be able to troubleshoot an issue. If your framework has certain BDD tags, it actually can give you some clearer indications of what was performed on the device and where things fail. Any sort of errors will display within this error dialogs box. We try to give you an immediate stack trace in time so that you don't have to go ahead and dig through logs. All the screenshots are available for viewing. You can also download these screenshots and use them locally. The CPU memory utilization is displayed. You can easily see memory leaks and things like that. All of the logs are included, both the device log cap, and if you were using various frameworks, they all produce their own types of logs, and they'll be viewable here, and you can actually search those logs if you want to look for any certain assertions. Okay. Of course, you can also download these logs as well if you want to do further parsing or you want to amend them to some sort of defect tracking tool. Okay. The ability to view results is also pretty powerful in the sense that you can get a true understanding of how the user really experienced the application, and this gives you basically a timeline across the test so that you can see exactly what the end user saw. Okay. All right. Now, I wanted to make a quick note that up in the top right-hand corner, you can go to the My Account tab, and you can take a look at some of the integrations that we have. Notice that we have, for example, this Jira integration. So all those results that we just looked at, you can actually be able to automatically amend those results to particular Jira tickets. So it makes it a lot quicker to get all of the information that a developer would need to be able to further troubleshoot an issue. Okay. There's a couple of other integrations here. For example, with Slack, you might want to be notified of how particular test runs performed and get notice of any sort of failures, things like that. Okay. All right, so that's the getting a test project set up and running tests and viewing the results. The last thing I wanted to show you today was the manual test capability. Here, when you click on manual test, you're going to be able to search through the devices that you want to work with. Let's just say I wanted to pick up a Pixel device here. Now, when I select that, it's automatically going to launch a remote session with the device. And once all of the dependencies get set up, you're going to be given control so that you can use your mouse and keyboard to interact with the device. Okay. Now let's see what we want to do here. Let's click on the browser. Notice that the browser cache and history is cleared after every session, so you have a fresh device to work with as you see fit. Okay, let's maybe go to bitbar.com. Let's see how our mobile web page looks. Great, it looks like the formatting's right. It looks like it's a responsive design. Everything is scaling appropriately, and the content looks correct. From there, maybe we want to take a screenshot. So let's go ahead and take a screenshot. Notice that the screenshots are displayed below. We actually take the full resolution image, full RGB values. You can download these images, and you can do some other things with them. A lot of folks end up putting the screenshots in product collateral, or maybe create demo tutorials, things like that for their application. A lot of folks even just use the images up on the App Store to give people a sense of what the application looks like. Definitely saves a lot of time, comparative to using a screenshot command on a device. You got to hold the home button, the power button at the same time. and then you got to get it off the device. Obviously, you can save some time here to capturing those things. Notice that all the logs are going. Really, this is a very powerful troubleshooting tool. So if you see an issue, with an automated test run, or maybe there's an issue out in the field reported on a particular OS version, you can quickly get on that device and be able to replicate it and have the developer have all of the things that they need in order to effectively be able to fix the problem. Right? All right. So that is the manual test capability. Last thing I just want to mention is that we do have this app crawler capability. You can click on app crawler and quickly upload your application, enter any sort of login credentials, select the device group, and what this does is it goes out and launches the app. It's kind of like a monkey test. It will go through the home screen, click on the various elements, take screenshots along the way. You'll get the logs, you get the CPU memory utilization information. If an application crashes right after launch, it will catch things like that. And it's a great way, if you don't have automation yet, to get value out of the Bitbar platform. All right, that's everything that I think we should show today. Hopefully this gives you a good sense of what's possible. We definitely want to help you, tackle your mobile testing challenges. Please contact your Bitbar rep. I'm sure that somebody's probably reached out to you, or you can, send a message to info@bitbar or sales@bitbar.com. And we'll get back to you as soon as possible and make sure that you're able to get up and running with the Bitbar Cloud technology as soon as possible. All right, thanks everybody. Thanks for your time today. Cheers. Bye-bye.